module 4, which is practice. So I hope everybody has access to the Excel sheet. Let me share my screen. Of course, my Excel sheet will be a little different because I have the case study as well. You have only the data set, right? So you can open a new Google sheet or next sheet and start doing this calculation live. Everyone. So good to see you, Sarath, Kishore, Komal. Everybody is ready now to start creating, cracking it. Akshita, Pavan, Ayappan, Krishna Pillai, Asutosh Kumar, Vijay, Narendra. Good, Joy. Good to see you all. Yeah. So let's start this exercise. We are starting with case study number 1 for scope 1 calculations. So what we are doing, we are going to calculate now scope 1, right? Understanding scope 1 is stationary combustion. Now, just to give you a little bit more idea, in scope 1 emission, which you are writing that what is that scope 1 formula, right? Scope 1 formula. Scope 1 formula, lot of you have written, which is own or controlled activity, right? That's what we need to talk about. Very good, very good. So now in scope 1, there are 4 different parameters, which starts with stationary combustion. That's what we are going to do calculation with. It has mobile combustion. That is a second type of scope 1 emission. Third type of scope 1 is process emissions, right? Coming from chemical reactions. And last but not least is fugitive emissions, right? Which are coming from air conditioners or anything which releases gas without even intimating you. Clear? That's the 4 different type of scope 1 emission. Now, what we are doing today is we are learning the scope 1 emission calculation. Okay. And here 4 learning, and that's how I say your mind blown number 4, 5, and 7 will happen here itself. Clear, everyone? So let's start with the case study. What is this case study? So this is case study about scope 1 stationary combustion, calculation. Now, what is stationary combustion? Any emission happens by your activity, which is you own or controlled by you, and it remains stationary in nature. For example, you are having diesel set in your company. For example, you have emission happening from your kitchen or your operational machinery. All of them releases some kind of greenhouse gases. If they release, we need to calculate those emissions and put it down in this style, right? So now what we will do, we will look into first learning itself. What is background of this company? This company operates in various equipment. Is my screen visible, the Excel sheet?
Yes.
Okay, great. So company operates various equipments that consume different type of fuel, right? And each fuel consumption, of course, will release some certain kind of gas emissions. And that is contributing to greenhouse gas emissions. The goal is to quantify these emissions and identify area of reduction. That's what, as a GHG professional, you should be targeting. Now, what we are doing now is calculating. And after this, I will show you how to put mitigation plans so that you can do reduction in these numbers. Clear? Now, anyone can tell me why we are putting a period here. What is the use of time for which we are doing this calculation? Why we do that? Give me 3 reasons. Go ahead, one by one. Anyone can start with the first reason. What you think? Why we do put these period? What is the importance of it in greenhouse gas calculations?
Emission factors could differ with the period.
Okay, very good. That's the reason number 1. Absolutely correct, sir. Second reason, anyone, go ahead.
Reporting purpose.
What do you mean by reporting purpose? You have to be a little clear.
So it is reporting to, because they have to take complete financial year.
Complete financial year. Okay, so you want to know what is the reporting period, and that reporting period can be indicated by this number, correct? That's the learning number 2, right? Now, third one, give me the third reason. Why we need period?
If period is defined, then we can just identify our SBTI goals and we can check where we are standing right now.
So you are saying that period is for the purpose of baselining, isn't it? So that you can start reduction.
Yes.
Could be a good answer. But the last and most important reason here is, which you need to learn and put it in your notebooks. We put period to make sure right? That we are informing our stakeholder that what is our tenure of this calculation. And why it is important? Because each report can have a different timelines. For example, if you are in US, your financial year is from January to December. For example, CDP guidelines ask you to report under December to January timeline. Clear? When you are in India, you have a financial year starting from 1st of April to 31st of March. So you need to tell world that this is that period I am recording for. Now, there are certain other reports as well. For example, if it is a baseline report, it can be for 6 months or 3 months. We need to tell the world that what is the period I am taking for calculating it. So you might have only a small amount of total emission or scope 1 or 2, 3 emission, but that is only for 6 months. People who are comparing you with other company might not be able to make a judgment. Hence, this period becomes very essential for us to inform our stakeholder. This is the time period which I am using. Second, what somebody else has said is that for the purpose of, or Sarath has said that you need to use exact same period emission factors. And for your surprise, everyone, note it down again. Every emission factor coming from different sources, be it Environmental Protection Agency of United States of America, DEFRA of United Kingdom, CEA of India, every one of those which we are talking has a expiry date. What it has? It has a expiry date. So if you are using activity data for January 2023 to December 2023 and you are using 2025 emission factor, mistake is done. That's one of the biggest mistake. If you have learned something new, put MB4 for date 4, right? MB4 for day 2, put it that. Let's start. If you have learned out of these three, any of these one, if you are not aware of, please type it in MB4. That's appreciate the people who try to answer as well as if the learning happened. Go ahead, everyone. I'm waiting to you to type MB4. That this is one of those mistakes coming from these 3 pointers which people tend to make mistakes, right? And today in India, 43% of reports are totally not acceptable. Why? Because they are not under the threshold of 10%, right? And that is why this is the biggest mistake you cannot afford today. And people are aware about it. This is one of those mistakes which is happening because either they are not notifying to their stakeholder what is the time period for your calculation and why. Clear? Everyone, clear? Go ahead, put MB4. Good to see a lot of you are saying. So thank you, people who are saying MB4, and thank to people who are not even saying MB4. So Ayappan, Thanai Gavel, Kandaswamy, Komal, Anand, Kishore, Narendra. Okay, Kishore is here. Great to see Kishore. Kishore Mohanta, Sarath, and Pradeep, and Suhas as well. Thank you, everyone who said MB4. At least you learned something new. Great. Now, let's start with second learning of the day. Now, as you know, this case study says that it is calculating fuel used and converting into carbon dioxide emission or greenhouse gas emission in tons of carbon dioxide equivalent. That's the currency we use here for calculation purposes. Now, where all they are coming from? Diesel specifically. They are coming from diesel, LPG, which is in kitchen, crude oil and lubricant. These are the 5 different areas where they are calculating for. Emission factors, of course, they are using GHG protocol based, and these are the 5 different types of fuel which has been used in your company. Now, you can see the quantity of fuel mentioned in next to it. You can also type it in your Excel sheet, these numbers. I think this sheet is not provided. There is a purpose to that, right? So just type it in the activity number for diesel 1, diesel 2, 17,450, 900, LPG 1,178, crude oil 0, and lubricant 0. Now learning number 2 will happen. When you will tell me there is a diesel emission factor given in your data set. Your data set must be looking like this, right? You have a data set looking like this. Everyone, if you don't have it, please download it from the chat box. If you don't have it, please download it from the chat box. Clear? Go ahead. Now, once you see this, tell me what is that emission factor number? And actually, you can put it in your Excel sheet as well. Tell me that.
2.65.
Okay, somebody is saying 2.65. Others, please go ahead.
$2.65.
Okay. Another person also gives me 2.65. But I see in the data set there is 2.68 as well, and both are diesel. My question to you is why?
For DG set, the emissions will be higher compared to oven, so the factor could also differ.
Okay, I'm asking why. Why there will be a higher emission? That's why higher factor. Very good rationale there that there might be higher emission and hence higher factor. But why? That's the learning we want to have today. So give me that reason so everybody gets benefited today and get the enlightenment which they are looking for. And there are three reasons. Okay, so let's start with number one. Why DG set, diesel consumed in DG set will have different emission factor than the diesel used in oven. And the number one reason, everyone, note it down in your notebook, right? Very clearly. What is that? That first reason is that how this combustion is happening. The process of combustion will decide the emission factor. For example, if there is more oxygen available to react with diesel burning, if the more oxygen is available, react to diesel burning, there will be higher amount of carbon dioxide emission because more oxygen molecule can interact with the carbon molecule. Are you with me? So the oxygen exposure will decide that whether this fuel will have higher combustion or higher emission factor than the lower one. Now you tell me, DG set will require lower or the oven will require lower oxygen or provide oxygen. Which one you think? Oven, pizzeria, we have seen that, right? It's mostly open, a round box, you are putting your pizza inside, taking it out. So tell me, which one will have lesser exposure to oxygen? DG set or diesel? Diesel in oven. Obviously, DG set, right? Because oven is open combustion and hence carbon dioxide released is more compared to diesel in DG set. Are you with me? Carbon dioxide will be made less. That is reason number one. Reason number two, and that is another question to you, right? To food for thought for your mind. And that is, tell me, if my machine is made in Bangladesh or China compared to a machine which is made in Germany or UK, which one will have more efficiency? Which one will have more efficiency? That's the question, right? A machinery which is made by a roadside vendor who is creating it, right? There are a lot of assembler in our country who can assemble a good machine. Who will have less efficiency? The assembler which is sitting on the roadside, crossroad, or the person who is sitting in Germany and developing it? Anyone?
Roadside have less efficiency.
Will have less, yeah. The efficiency will be obviously less because he cannot create such a tight chambers where burning can happen. Are you with me? That's why Germany, UK machinery might be more efficient than the machines which we are making, right? It could be Kirloskar, Atlas Copco, any company make. Do you think they can, of course, compete with international parameters, but might be, right, that our packing system, our innovation might not be encouraging so much of efficiency compared to the one which we are finding it outside. So what we are achieving here is the second point and second learning, and that is that based on efficiency of the machinery or the make of the machinery, which is generally listed on any machine, yeah, it will give you a full specification and a manual. Read in the manual, you will find this data. It's not a rocket science data. Every company gives you this data. What is the efficiency of this particular motor, this particular generator? It gives you that. Look into that data, and the machine which has a higher efficiency will always have lower emissions. Clear? Because burning is happening again in conducive scenarios. Less oxygen is provided for the burning and efficiency remains the same or higher. Clear? That's the second learning. Third learning, and that's my again a question to you, which you should try to think over. If a machine is 10-year-old compared to machine which is you have bought today, which one will be doing better job in emitting greenhouse gases or pollution? Which one will have more pollution compared to the one? And here there is one which is 1 year old or recently purchased, another is 10 year.
Old machine will generate
Old
more.
machine will higher.
Absolutely. Everybody said in one row, right? The one which you purchased today. That's why in Delhi, after 10-year-old vehicles are not allowed on road. Why? Because it pollutes more. It's obvious reason. Now, just think about your exercise. You are going in a company and you don't know how old the machine they are using. Just imagine this scenario, and this is a very common scenario with freelancers because they are sitting in AC air conditioned room, in front of their computer doing this calculation. They even don't imagine this. If your mind is blown, put MB5 now. That's the learning number 2 for the day. Put MB5. If you have never thought like this, that a machinery age can decide that emission factors should be different. And here is my argument. If you are using DEFRA for such kind of emission calculations, are you doing justice?
No.
Because it is done on UK machineries, might be totally differently efficient than your ones in India, which are available. It might be considering different type of tenure or aged machineries, right? It is also based on their culture and system which they are talking about, right?